Hi, I'm Michelle, and this is my biology project. In my experiment, I decided to test if adding crushed eggshells to soil will enhance plant growth. In this case, I used radishes. The first reason why I chose to do this was because, well, using eggshells would be a cheap and easy way to enhance the growth of your crops. It also reduces waste, so that's good for the planet. And it also might be a possible alternative to fertilizer, which has been creating dead zones all over lakes and bodies of water. This kills fish, and anything that can lessen that will help the environment. Eggshells are rich in calcium. In fact, 97% of it is calcium carbonate. Calcium is needed in plants. They help in ways such as keeping acid levels balanced within the plant, making the cell wall stronger, and strengthening the growth of leaves, stems, and fruits. Eggshells also repel pests, which is better than using pesticides and good for the plants, because pesticides are basically chemicals and could possibly kill your family. Just kidding, it's just unhealthy. So basically for my materials, I had 2 plastic bins, some potting soil, radish seeds, and I used 30 for each bin per trial. So in all, I used 90 seeds for each experimental group, and in all I would have 180. I can't count. And of course you can't forget about the 5 eggshells for each trial, and these eggshells need to be crushed. To set up my experiment, I put crushed eggshells in one bin of soil, because I filled it with soil. And then I planted 3 rows of seeds in each bin. I put 30 seeds per bin. Now I covered the seeds with a layer of soil, and those layers are about ½ an inch. And I recorded the number of sprouts I got every day for a week. Okay, so these are pictures from my first trial. In this one you can see a control group at day 7. And in this picture, you see the experimental group. In this graph, you can tell that clearly there was a difference throughout the entire week while these sprouts were sprouting. Okay, now these are pictures from trial 2. Of course, this one is the control group, and this one is the experimental group. Now, just like the first trial, I have a graph. And you can see a clear difference compared to the first trial. In the end, they ended with both 30 sprouts. However, look at the growth overall. Through the entire week, there was a difference. And the control group never overcame the experimental group. And in trial 3, here's the control group. And here is the experimental group. In this graph, you can see a slight difference compared to the second trial. However, it is sort of similar. In the end, it ended with 28 sprouts both. However, there was a larger difference throughout the week. Now, averaging up these 3 trials, I got a graph. Again, yes, a 4th graph. So here you can see that they do not meet up. This is because of the first trial, obviously. And comparing in this specific graph, it would be safe to say that the control group did not do as well as the experimental group. So you could say that the eggshells did have a positive effect on the growth of the radishes. I think the actual problem with this experiment, which was why the results didn't really show a difference between the control group and the experimental group, was because it was grown indoors. Now, indoors you don't have to deal with the weather or the pests outside, so not as many plants would die. And you could see that the experimental group always reached the maximum earlier, around 5 days, and it took almost the entire week for the control group to reach it. So I think that's why the experiment didn't really have as much evidence that really supported my hypothesis. However, it still did in, I guess, a way.
shine.